Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the July 7th, 2026 Administrative Services Committee meeting. Present this evening, our Council President, Tony Kuda, who is the Vice Chair of this committee, and Gail Larson, who is the other member of the committee. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening. This is sort of a tradition. We had this a year and a half ago or so, where we tried to bring all of the chairpersons from our boards, commissions, and committees in just to hear from you guys. And so I want to thank you all for taking time out from your schedules to come here this evening, and thank you for your service to the city during the year, in many instances without any compensation. And for those that are compensated on our quasi-judicial boards, I know your attendance at those meetings is worth far more than your pay. So what I'd like to do is have everyone introduce themselves, and I'm going to start with Mr. Brooker, since he's by Zoom, and then we'll just go around the room from there. And if you would just tell us, we already heard that you're ABR, but if you would tell us again, ABR, how long you've been on it, and we'll just knock that out. And maybe just a word or two about what ABR does, in case no one else knows.
Okay, my name is Denver Brooker. I'm the chair of the Architectural Board of Review. That board is in charge of reviewing the design of additions, renovations, and new construction within the city of Cleveland Heights. So everything from new garages to roof replacements, where you're changing the actual material from one kind of material to another, new homes, new commercial buildings, or additions and renovations to either of those. It's quite a range of cases that end up in front of us. And because we're primarily kind of a residential based community, many of the projects are additions, renovations, modifications to single family homes.
Thank you. I think this may be one of our few boards that requires a professional license to serve. And we often have a hard time getting architects willing to serve the city. So thank you. Why don't we start with Joyce next?
Okay, I'm Joyce Braverman. I'm actually a task force chair of the Cumberland Pool Task Force, and we are helping to advise on the rebuilding of Cumberland Pool.
Tom?
I'm Tom Zitch. I am chair of the Board of Zoning Appeals for some period of time, in excess of 20 years. We're not exactly sure. I'll have to go back and check. If you don't know, BZA handles, its name says zoning appeals, and it's within our authority to hear, as a quasi-judicial body, appeals from adverse zoning decisions. Everything we do in reality are ruling on variance requests, use and standard variances of every type of property there is in Cleveland Heights: commercial, mixed use, residential, multifamily. And it's a matter of being asked to make exceptions from strict reading of the zoning code. And we do that by hearing and decision. And it's been a busy year this year.
Deirdre?
Hi, everyone. I'm Deidre McPherson. I am here representing probably the newest commission or group, if you will, the Arts Commission for Cleveland Heights. And we just got started this year. And our work, we're still, in this early phase where we're trying to determine what are our strategic priorities and how can we best serve the city in terms of thinking about Cleveland Heights arts ecosystem. We all know we have several downtown districts. Several of them are anchored by really well-known arts institutions. A lot of our neighborhoods and our neighborhoods are activated by artists, musicians, dancers, visual artists, mural artists, all types of incredible talent that's part of Greater Cleveland's arts ecosystem. The commission, we're thinking about how to create more connectivity among residents to one another through the arts, the economic impact that arts and culture can have on neighborhoods that are already developed and acknowledging the role of arts and culture, for example, Cedar Lee Arts District, but also neighborhoods that have additional potential for there to be some anchors or more investment or support of artists in those neighborhoods. We recently participated on, I recently participated on a steering committee for a study that the city of Cleveland Heights led around affordable live workspaces for artists. As part of that, we went on an amazing tour of some arts spaces in 5 different neighborhoods. And it just created an awareness of important work that's happening in the arts community that is great for the city's support. So I'm really grateful and excited that we have this newly formed committee and a commission, if you will. I don't know the difference between commission and committee, but I'm really glad that we have it in place because arts and culture is very, very rich in Cleveland Heights. I'm a product of Cleveland Heights. I've been working in arts and culture for over 20 years. And so I'm really excited to serve in this capacity.
And I forgot to introduce and let everyone know that our mayor is also sitting in on the meeting, as well as the city administrator, Michael Reese. And oh my gosh, yes. And I also forgot that Sarah Stone, our councilwoman, is here as well. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Mike,
Glad I'm not the only one who forgets to introduce people.
getting old.
Yeah.
Chris.
I'm Mike Gainier. I'm the chair of the planning commission. I've been on the commission for over 10 years now. I succeeded Jessica Cohen when she won election to city council. And so our priorities are generally commercial, and we issue conditional use permits for a business that's coming in and wants to do something on a property that's different as opposed to what it's zoned for. And it can sound a little simple at times, but it can be very complex also. And then we also spend a lot of time with developers who are coming in with big projects or things that they want to work with us at to get a lot of guidance in terms of what is eventually going to work for a given property. Like, something that we worked on for several years was the Ascent. I think we had something like 38 meetings on that project, not just the planning commission, but that with the public meetings, to make sure that everybody is heard, that there was adequate input, and that everybody's kind of in the know step by step in terms of what's going on, and that people feel like they're heard when they come to us and give us their comments and so forth. And we work on a lot of great projects and do our best to make things better for the community. And we welcome the input and the visitors who come to our meetings.
Thank you. Catalina, and then I'll come to you, Chris.
Hello, I'm Catalina Wagers. I am the chair of the Climate and Environmental Sustainability Committee, also known as SASC. It's a group of 9 committee members. Our liaison to council is, thank God, Gail Larson, who's been amazing. And we actually, this is our 2nd year in this form of committee. We have a strategic plan developed that basically focuses on advancing the climate action plan initiatives from the Climate Forward Plan for the city. We have 6 key initiatives that meet the 6 sectors from the Climate Action Plan. And we also have 6 initiatives that we are submitting to, hopefully, council to pass as potential legislation. So we're working on that as we speak. And we serve also as a liaison with the community. And the community in Cleveland Heights is very active when it comes to environmental issues. So we have a very nice two-way relationship. And I think what I love our committee is that we actually get public participation and they are helping us to craft some of our initiatives. So it is a very active group.
Chris, we're just doing introductions, so if you'd introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your committee.
Of course. I see lots of familiar faces, some new faces all around the room. My name is Chris Brace. I am one of the co-chairs of the Transportation and Mobility Committee in Cleveland Heights. We do work, of course, around transportation and mobility, as you might expect. This year, we focused on a number of issues around safety for all road users on the streets of Cleveland Heights, making sure that the roads are accessible for pedestrians, cyclists, individuals with mobility needs, really all across the board. Major initiatives, I think, over the last year and going into next will continue to focus around safe streets, especially in the context of some of the grants that the city has been lucky enough to receive. A lot of work continuing around accessibility for pedestrians, cyclists, and all road users. In general, continuing work with the planning department, the public works department, and other city departments, and of course the administration writ large to really make some changes on the ground and save lives and make the city easier to get around.
Thanks. So just working down the agenda, council would like to hear from you guys about any of the things that we have noted here or anything else. So the attendance, or if you're having attendance problems or participation issues, what needs from either the administration or city council. We are trying to make sure that every board, committee, or commission has a council liaison if needed, or an administration liaison, and what potential or requested needs does each committee have that council or the administration can provide. And then lastly, we are trying to work on updating our membership rosters on the city's website and make sure that that is updated and it has the contact information for at least the chairperson of all of these boards, commissions, and committees.
If I might,
Yes.
just on the attendance issue, I remember when we talked about this last year, I think it was the consensus of the chairs that we not have a uniform attendance requirement. The thing that I'm concerned about as far as attendance, and you don't have to address this first, but it's just something that came to my mind, was sometimes there's a waiting list of people who really do want to participate. And I would hate to see people not on the sidelines if you have people that are habitually not coming to the meeting. So if anybody
Can I
wants-
ask, how often do you reappoint the committee members? Because that's a good time for people who are not coming to the meetings to be not reappointed.
Everyone has got a different, some are 2-year terms, some are 1 year, some are 4-year, and some are 6-year. And typically, the only time we find out about an attendance issue, we have to rely on the chairpersons to let us know about that. And there are some committees like the Recreation Board, for example, that has a provision if you miss maybe 4 meetings or without an excuse, then you're deemed to have resigned from the committee. And that may be the only one that's got that provision in there.
And how often are they reappointed?
I think those are 4-year appointments.
For the Arts Commission, we have 1, maybe 2 members that have consistently not been able to come. We haven't yet explored alternative times, or I'm not quite sure for one person in particular why she's not coming, but it might be related to her schedule. I'm just not sure, at what point that has crossed my mind before. Should we reappoint someone else? Because I'm sure there's a waiting list of people who love the arts who would like to participate.
So I'd have a conversation with her. Is this the young lady that works for the Art Museum?
I'm not sure actually where she works.
I think it's the youngest person that we appointed to the committee. Is that the youngest person?
Yes, I think she might be.
Because her father actually came to me in Starbucks and said she was having a problem. I said she should talk to both you and talk to her supervisor at the Art Museum to try and accommodate her.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But why don't you try and have a conversation with her, and then if not, get back with me.
Sure.
And then I'll call her and we'll see what can happen. I know she was very anxious to get on that.
Okay.
committee, but didn't realize you guys meet, at 8:30 on Thursday mornings?
Yes, 8:30, we have a meeting this Thursday, 8:30, so
And
I'll circle back to her.
yeah, she may have been reluctant to approach her supervisor at work, and I would have thought they would be accommodating and would try to be.
Right.
Anyone else having any attendance problems or issues?
We're in the quasi-judicial boards, it's small board, and attendance is, unless you only have excused absences, because we have to maintain the quorum. We have to have 4 members at any meeting. We've never had a problem with that, because we do have recusals on an occasional basis, which is why, Lou had left, because she was needing to recuse too often. So that's why she resigned. But we don't, it's just the nature of the board.
But, and then Denver, you're sitting behind me, so I can't see if you have any questions or want to weigh in. Your attendance pretty good?
It's very good. We have 3 members, 2 alternates, and we meet twice a month, and a quorum is 2, and we're usually always able to have 2 and 1 alternate. There's rare instances where there's only 2 voting members at a meeting. But we've generally been able to manage amongst ourselves to always have proper coverage for the meetings.
Good. Anyone else having attendance issues or anything? All right. How about needs from the administration or council in the way of support, equipment, anything?
Since we're a newly formed commission, I think it'd be really helpful if we had a strategic plan of some kind. And it'd be really great if it could be like a 360 type thing where we have the ability to hire a consultant that can facilitate focus groups, because we want to hear from residents and we want to hear from artists who might be able to do a survey and who might be able to even lead a retreat among our commission members so that we can come together and think about our strategic priorities, have some input from the city. We tried to do something on our own, but especially after hearing from the consultants that visited Cleveland Heights from Minneapolis to lead the artist housing feasibility study. There could be more connectivity between what the commission is doing, what the city's priorities and needs are, where the study is potentially going. It'd be really beneficial to have a budget because we were thinking, we could get a pro bono consultant. But, ideally, we would have some funding to support that so we can really get off to a good start and make some good progress during our tenure.
Do you have anyone from the planning department that has been sitting in on your meetings or participating?
So Deanna is incredible, and she's been our liaison. When I participated in the steering committee for the Artist Housing Feasibility Study, worked really closely with Julie Kaufman. Worked with her and I forgot the young lady's name and community engagement, but we worked together on putting together a tour of the various cultural assets in Cleveland Heights footprint. So there's a relationship there, but it'd be great to formalize it and then just get some funding. If this year, ideally, would be really great. I don't know if that's possible. I know we're halfway through the year, so I understand if it would need to be postponed, but.
That's definitely something we'll look at for next year. But I don't know if we're going to have the money to provide you guys a budget this year.
So just to take off from that, we're talking about there's a liaison for arts and culture, there's a liaison for the Cumberland, but they're not a staff person, they're a liaison. So it seems like there should be a staff person at least to take notes and do administrative things for each committee versus, a volunteer has to take the minutes.
So Deanna is a staff person and she serves the role as the liaison. And then we have appointed, a person to be our secretary who's a volunteer, who's taking all the notes in our case.
I know that's a pain. I started to look at some type of technology that could be used to take your notes, because trying to get a secretary to take notes and then type them up is a pain in the butt, and I've gotta think there's some technology out there now that
Yeah, there's
allows
lots of
us to do
technology
that.
out there, but I think it's different to have a staff person who has responsibilities for the committee. Notes are one of those things.
I think they're separate probably concerns. Yeah.
That's something I'll have a discussion with the mayor about, but that may be a tough thing to do.
We've had Addie's help in scheduling all the meetings. She's been really great, but not a note taker. We didn't even think to ask for that. We were just like trying to get money to do a strategic plan. But
I mean,
What does Shaker do, if I could ask for its?
We have a staff person for every committee, commission, so either we do not have like secretaries at Board of Zoning Appeals or City Planning Commission. We have a staff person who then dictates notes. And of course, those are quasi judicial boards, so they're a little bit more robust. But for council committees, which are kind of like the committees people here are talking about, there is a staff person or an admin or one of each that takes the notes.
And are most of your meetings during the day in the early morning versus
Early
in the
morning or at
evenings?
night.
Okay.
I mean, we've always had a staff person. Now it's all done by recording. And so it isn't the typing up of minutes. We're both broadcast and recorded. But it's really the planning staff. That is,
Right, yeah.
that's our liaison.
And that's different. I think a board like BZA, you need minutes. The rest of these boards, just some notes that at least, what you talked about and memorialize.
We actually take minutes and we
take
vote
minutes.
on our meetings. And they're actually published on the website, so you guys can see
You
everything.
have a volunteer that does that, a committee member? Or do
It
you have
would be
staff?
our secretary. We have a secretary who takes notes, and I, as the chairperson, take notes too.
when you say they're published on a website, is it the city's website? or
City's
is there-
website, so if you go into the Climate Environmental Committee website,
Same minutes.
and I think that that's very important for us, that people have access and visibility to what we're doing. So we actually publish annual reports, and every single meeting has an agenda, which by law you have to put out there for 3 days prior to the meeting. And then we approve the minutes and they get published. So the whole public knows what we're working on.
I really appreciate you sharing that, because I think for the Arts Commission, that was one thing we're still trying to figure out. How public are our meetings? We created a Google Drive for our agendas and our minutes.
That's what we have.
And we haven't put all of our notes in the Google Drive. I do really like the idea of transparency, and if we're really trying to engage people in our work and keep them connected to it, I like the idea of
So
sharing it.
one of the things that we did, I mean, I've been in committees. I was in the transportation committee before, then I was in some form of climate committee that got dispersed, and then I've been on this one. I think the biggest learning for us has been being transparent to the public by providing the public with access to connect with us. So the very first thing we did when we established this committee, we asked for an email address specifically for the Climate Environmental Sustainability Committee, which is published on the website. And what we do, and we've been asking for a long time, but we know it's a little bit difficult, we really would like to transition our Google Drive into a city's own depository of information, because right now it's my Google Drive, which everybody has access to. But what we do is every person that comes to us, they are acknowledged, discussed in the meeting, they see it on the minutes, and then we provide an answer to them with whatever was discussed and whatever action. And I think that part is probably what's working really well for us, because there is a lot of trust and transparency. And there are things that we cannot do, but at least you go back and say, we discussed this, and this is the outcome, which really makes a difference with the public.
Everything that everyone does is a public record. So transparency should be second or third nature. And
Absolutely.
we were going to provide sunshine law training. Did that ever happen?
It did for us.
Not yet for us.
We're
Not
organizing
yet. First, we've had the other training.
I'm not,
Like
what
training.
is sunshine? Sorry, what is sunshine?
Open Meetings Act.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. The open-
And so that is, we need to work on taking those notes off of a private Google Drive and
Yes.
somehow setting that up for public access on the city's website.
And the same would be the case for Arts Commission?
Yes,
Okay, because we created a Arts Commission CH@gmail account.
We did a
And-
similar thing in the TMC. There's a lot of shadow IT happening.
It would probably be best to be off of Gmail
Yes.
I
agree.
for various reasons.
and for there be some consistency at what you described, or if there's another preferred.
I'll talk to the law director because I'm on another public body and we use a Gmail that has the public body's name in it. So somehow that Gmail account got set up.
We have one of those, but I set it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Same with us.
So what the city set up for us is called the Climate and Environmental Sustainability Contact Form.
Mhm.
And is through the city.
Okay.
So the information actually goes to somebody in the city, which I'm not sure who, but that person sends it to Diana, who is our city liaison. And that gets shared with us prior to the meeting, and then it's our first topic for discussion in our agenda. Who said what and what was said, and then we take action.
Okay, so essentially creating a page for the Arts Commission where we could put minutes, resources, or any other
I can show you, yeah,
things.
I can share with that.
If I may, we
Yes.
just had a discussion with Clerk Ballister this morning, President Kuda and I. And we've charged her with making sure that the agendas are posted to the city website. And that's on the leaders, the chairs of these boards, commissions, and committees, as well as the task force. And then also that when you have approved, when your group has approved your minutes, that you send those on to Clerk Ballister or to Steve Barker and then CC Clerk Ballister, because she will put it on the website. And that, in terms of Director Hannah, is an Open Meetings Act compliance.
Okay.
So
Could
we
that
can
be,
start to do that, that'd be fabulous.
could that, could an email be sent that outlines what those steps should be and who? Cause I haven't yet connected with those people.
And
You
make
wanna-
sure,
Want me
No,
to do that? or-
yeah, if you would. And make sure that our clerk has updated rosters and contact info for everyone.
Sure.
Councilwoman Larson, have there been any problems getting things from the planning department or on our meetings on the commission?
I don't think so,
No.
but I haven't looked at you specifically on the website because it seems like your agendas are up there
Yeah, they-
and then your minutes once you've approved.
right.
So
I'm
I
just
think you're in
asking.
compliance.
There was a problem that we
No.
could
No.
fix.
You guys are fine, ABR is fine, BZA is fine, cause
Yes,
you've got city
yeah.
planning staff.
It's
Those
always there when I
long-established
look.
groups.
And it'd also be helpful to have a list of each commission or committee and who's chairing it, to also encourage cross-committee collaboration.
Where,
City's website?
That's supposed to be on the website.
on the website.
Yeah, that, I mean, you should. right.
If
What
it
we'll
isn't,
try
I
and
haven't
do is-
looked, so I apologize if
No,
I
no, that's
I
okay.
didn't
but-
realize.
We'll try and put all of this together in one document that we can maybe get out to each of you and also to the city council members and members of the administration. Because I don't believe there is a document in existence anywhere that pulls all this together. That would be helpful.
Super helpful, thank you. Thank you.
Anything else from anyone here on that?
I think the most
Yes.
important thing, I just want to reiterate, is really being able to transition our documents into the city. It's for me, it's concerning. We have a lot of information and there are a lot of people to have access to my account. And I really would like to have just where it belongs.
Who from the administration, if anyone's been coming to your meetings?
Well, Diana, who is
Okay.
fantastic, and it's ever since she was appointed, it's been a complete different committees, so it's made a huge difference.
Good. Chris, who do you have coming from the city?
Ken Bernard has been fantastic. He's been our liaison with the planning department and he's been excellent.
He's great.
Oh, and of course,
Yes.
City Administrator Reese, my
I'm de
apologies.
facto, I'm a member of the by law.
Right, by legislation, yeah.
I'm a member of the Transportation Mobility Committee. I'm a non-voting member.
Yes.
I forgot that. And before you got here, it was a real problem previously having anyone from city staff ever attend or participate in the meetings. And as a result, we had a lot of people that resigned and left. And I think the Transportation Committee had essentially stopped existing.
No, the city has been phenomenal, and my apologies for forgetting. Administrator Reese has also been a phenomenal asset to the committee.
Anything else from anyone? I know.
In terms of needs from council, I think the TMC's major feature at the moment is the lack of a dedicated budget line item for safe streets and that sort of specific work around making our streets safer and more accessible and more green. There are obviously general funds for this, and the resurfacing increases had a massive impact on what we were able to afford and what we could do this year for safety and green streets in general. But having a dedicated line item broken out of that for quick build projects, you know, we have a lot of plans in the Complete and Green Streets, the CSAP, the Safety Action Plan, contains a lot of recommendations, but without a dedicated funding source, we do a lot of start and stop as different grants come in. It ends up being very inefficient.
So indulge me just for a second here. So we're like council's taking a break, you know, we're coming back on August 17th. We expect to have pretty robust agenda because, you know, we'll have been off for 5 or 6 weeks. When we start up in September, it's kind of budget season, you know. So I guess I would ask the mayor, and I know we're making no promises, but how would you like, I mean, I understand anybody can come to a council meeting and, you know, I mean, the budget, we do have budget hearings, you know, and we certainly are willing to hear from people, but what would be the best way for committees to present their budget needs to the city?
So we are scheduling meetings with departments right now. And so I think that what we could do is reach out to each of the boards, committees, commissions, learn what they think that their needs are, and from there, fold it into our budget.
Yeah, I also think, I think the system is working because we had a discussion at our very last Transportation Mobility Committee meeting about what Chris just raised in terms of the dedicated budget line item for, you know, pedestrian safety, cycling safety, safety in general. And obviously I'm bringing that back to the team. I know Deanna, when it comes to public art, the Art Commission, sustainability, she's bringing those things back to us in terms of, you know, what the multiple things that those bodies are interested in funding. So I think the system's working right now.
Yep,
Good.
totally agree.
We actually develop a budget, line item budget, and it supports each one of the initiatives. They all have a number. We're gonna vote on it next Tuesday. And then what we will do is provide information to Councilwoman Larson, and she will be advocating on our behalf for 2027.
And Ms. Fisher has, I don't know if she's talked to you about it directly, but she's prepared the budget with the idea that taking what came out of the committee and correlating it with the climate resilience plan, built a budget that was, in my opinion, excellent
It's a very good budget.
for sustainability. So she probably is working with you on that as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the mayor and I both.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really well done.
I have a question
Yes.
about investment in arts and culture. I think this is a new area for the city. I may be wrong in that, but I wasn't quite sure if there was how the city budgets, because I know there's support around big, landmark events like Pride in June or Juneteenth. I think that I'm not sure if the city allocates a certain amount of funding for those holidays or major events. But I guess I was thinking we might take a similar approach, just create a budget with what we believe our priorities are and create line item budget based on that. I already talked about our interest in getting a strategic plan, but there might be other needs that come up. So I wasn't sure. We'll just put it on paper and work with Deanna. I wasn't sure if there's what department is most closely aligned with it and so forth. So.
In our department meeting this morning, we were going through budget requests, we were going through budget ideas. And so there were ideas that Deanna brought from both of your committees. So I think that we are generally aware of them. And I suspect there will be more communication with groups as time passes.
Good. Anything else from anyone?
I have
Yes.
a budget.
No, I think the budgets they're talking about are line item for the city budget.
Well, I got
budget
some
does-
really good things that we can do with it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
$20 right now.
Bring it up with Eric.
I
No,
will.
seriously though.
No, if I could have the floor just for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Because everybody who's been on council for a couple of years has heard me speak a little bit about pedestrian safety.
I know
And
what
I'm not gonna talk about the Warrensville sidewalk here, but I wanna
Then I guess
share.
wrong.
No, good assumption though, Tony. No, I want to share an article that I came across a couple of weeks ago that really crystallized in my own mind part of the problem or the challenge that we have with pedestrian safety regarding the vehicles that we're dealing with nowadays. And the New York Times had a great study a couple of weeks ago on the impact of the growth and the size of the vehicles that occupy our streets right now. And every time you look out your car window and you're at somebody else's bumper, it should hit home with you. And I never understood how dangerous they were. Everybody likes to be up high and in these big vehicles and so forth. And this article really did a great job, along with some graphic engineered designs to show you the impact that these vehicles have when they strike a pedestrian. And it was, it breaks my heart every time I think back to the fatality we had on Warrensville Road 3 years ago because of the absence of a sidewalk when we approved the Hebrew Academy development. And I've spoken about it on several occasions, and I've been to community groups about it. There's some recommendations, and I printed out the summary I made of the article, and it has a link to the article and my contact information for more information or anything like that. Please, I'd like to share it with everybody because it talks about what happens when you're struck by a vehicle that's 55 inches at the top of the hood versus a sedan down around 30 inches. And it really explains why pedestrian deaths are way up nationally in the last 10, 20 years. And
locally.
yes, and there's a little summary on the bottom of things that we can do. And the middle action step is about communities, what we need to do to redesign crosswalks and sidewalks and so forth to create more safety for our pedestrians, either through separation or better things that will impact and get the kind of reaction we're looking from drivers and these vehicles that have become even more impactful in a negative way for public safety in a community where we pride ourselves on pedestrian and walkability and bicycle safety and all of that. And I think this is something that we all should be focusing on as a community. And if I could have a budget, I'd build a sidewalk. But I'll keep advocating for it. So, and I'll submit something.
That aligns with when I think about arts districts
Oh, yeah.
and the walkability of neighborhoods that people flock to because there's a scene and there's an energy, like it marries well into that. We want there to be people to feel safe on their biking there to shows. ample parking, but also for people with accessibility or
Oh,
pedestrians.
absolutely.
So
We can do better than we're doing now, and just the results of the last 3 years tell me we have to do better. And so I want us all to be thinking about that. My contact information is on the second page and the link to the article, and I would encourage you all, it's just a 10-minute read. And it'll really open your eyes, and I'd love to work with you guys and come to one of the meetings sometime
I love
and
that.
talk about this, so.
I'll resist the urge to grandstand, but we have somewhere between 2 and 5 fatal accidents in the city each year.
Yeah.
That's pretty consistent. They're
Yeah.
disproportionately pedestrians and cyclists.
Yep.
And if you include all accidents, major, minor, fender benders, we see over 1,000 accidents, 3 accidents a day in Cleveland Heights.
Yep.
With I think over 100 of those being, injury accidents of some type or another.
And there's some blocking and tackling too. I mean, I've lost kind of how many stop signs you cannot see
It's
because of tree-lawn trees.
Oh, yeah,
it's a
You go-
series.
You go Washington.
there's a ton of things like that that exist out there.
I wanna say Larchmere has done some recent, the language, but
Speed tables.
thank you, speed tables,
tables.
raised crosswalks that have made the Larchmere neighborhood really walkable to different restaurants and shops and that's something I'd love to see us invest more in as well.
Yeah.
Those are the items that, the types of things that ideally a line item would go to.
Have you looked at reflective coatings on streets?
Absolutely everything, yes. That is one of many things that the city would like to do. There is no dedicated funding for it at this time.
Can we just change the bulb color on those buttons on pedestrian crosswalks?
We can
Make them red?
We can do a lot of things. You got
I'm
it, scratch.
forgetting even the words, sorry.
Anything else that anyone
No,
wants
I've
to
taken
share
up
with
enough
us?
time, but anybody who
Thank
wants
you.
to reach out and share contact information, I would appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for participating, and my apologies, Denver, that I didn't register who you were at first.
That's quite all right.
Maybe that's a good thing that we don't know about ADR, other than we do appoint people when we've had vacancies, but you guys haven't had that.
No,
And I
I'm
know
going
it's-
to a long
The
BCA
last time it
meeting
was,
and
I think we had some difficulty trying to find someone.
that's where I left Jim alone.
Yes, we've had a pretty consistent group for a few years.
Okay, good. All righty, Mayor, anything that you wanted to, Mr. Reese, anything? All right,
This is
so,
very informative,
yes,
thank you.
thanks again. If you guys ever have any issues or problems, please reach out to me or Tony or Gail, or for that matter, any of the council members, including Sarah.
I'll just accost you at Starbucks.
Oh, you're one of
Thank you,
those?
thank you for hosting us.
Our schedules
Yes.
align.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.